remember a few weeks ago, Donald Trump declared the opioid plague a national emergency. Well, since he made that declaration, absolutely nothing has happened. Nothing. Is the opioid plague a national emergency? No. This is an article that came out in the New York Times on August 24th, 2017, 2 weeks ago. In response to a reporter's question, Trump proclaimed that he considered the opioid plague to be a national emergency, leading many news organizations to report that a national emergency has been declared. But Trump's administration, perhaps caught off guard by Trump's statement, has not yet taken legal steps to give those words force. A national emergency and extra powers that come with it requires a formal declaration, which the Trump administration has not made. According to a White House spokesman, any such emergency actions are going through an expedited legal review. But it is unclear how long this review will take. This kind of delay between pronouncement and formal declaration is not normal. In the past, formal declarations and public announcements of public emergencies generally have happened simultaneously. There are already 28 active national emergencies involving, and you can see a whole list of things right here in the red, and not one of these items listed, because there's 27 things that are considered a national emergency. Nothing on the list has anything to do with opioids. Nothing on this red list. You might have noticed that none of these seem clearly directed at U.S. public health. And you'd be right. National emergencies like these, each of which must be renewed by the president annually, they are typically used to freeze the assets of foreign nations or impose sanctions on another country. In some cases, such as the responses to September 11th attacks and the 1979 Iranian hostage crisis, the emergencies last for decades, as they are still used to justify current policies. While national emergencies can be declared to address public health crises, as President Obama announced to combat the swine flu epidemic in 2009, the most direct way to do so is through the declaration of a public health emergency. Public health emergencies are distinct from those declared by the president. Instead, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tom Price, could declare a public health emergency on his own. This would unlock a range of expanded powers for the health department, allowing the secretary to issue grants and spread money that he otherwise would not be able to do. Mr. Price would also be given additional freedom to direct resources and amend regulations. All right. A sweeping declaration of emergency could, for example, remove the restrictions on which doctors can prescribe methadone. All right, so, right now, this pretty much sums it up because it goes into all this other stuff. But so far, the Trump administration is all talk and no action. And like it said earlier in this article, when you declare a national emergency, it usually goes into effect immediately. There's really no break in between the time it's announced and when it goes into effect, because after all, it's considered an emergency. Well, the Trump administration is still sitting on their hands. There is no money being moved to help the current plague that's going on in the country. There is no action being taken at all. And the reporters are actually calling the White House out on it, but it's being kept silent. Okay. And you can see the frustration level in people when it comes down to this declaration, because they think they can help these junkies out of the situation, but we know otherwise. This thing, I don't care what they do, is too many drugs in America. Okay, if you have not moved the drugs out of the country or prevented them from coming in, there is no emergency act that's going to help this country at all. It's too many people on drugs. It's too many illegal drugs on the streets, and it's too many coming into the country constantly. So they have their work cut out for them. And as you can see, Trump is still showing a major lack of support when it comes down to this opioid plague going on in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, this crisis, plague, epidemic ain't going nowhere. Not under Trump. It's still going strong. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And if you can donate to my channel, please do. Peace, family.